fully realized. The two-thirds gender principle is one such issue that has remained elusive despite the mounting pressure and lobbying done on the legislative arm. The 2010 Constitution required Parliament to enact a new law that gave effect to the two-thirds gender provision within 5 years of its promulgation. Implementation of the two-thirds gender rule has remained elusive despite several attempts by MPs to push it through. A radical advisory by former Chief Justice David Maraga for President Uhuru Kenyatta to dissolve Parliament over failure to implement the two-thirds gender rule failed to yield results. Legal minds opine that political parties have to make a radical decision in ensuring the requirement is met in the next elections at the nomination stage. And I want us to speak to Beatrice Alachi, Chief Administrative Secretary for Public Service and Gender. Mheshimiwa, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I am great, thank you. How are you?
Very fine.
Great, thank you so much for joining us on News Center. And I want us to begin our discussion by the 10 years of the National Gender and Equality Commission, that is NGEC. From where you see it, how has it performed so far?
Well, one of the things that I know that we need to appreciate is that the Constitution is now being understood slowly by slowly. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, I think after the ruling of BPI, I think people have to start appreciating that we changed our country to a new dispensation. Each of us must understand that dispensation. Mm-hmm. And therefore, for us to start thinking how we move forward is very critical. Mm-hmm. I just want to agree with Governor Isaac Ruto, that former governor, that yes, devolution was meant to take resources, but also the governors must understand you must take responsibility on how those resources are being implemented. Yes, the county assemblies have taken, and it is something we need to work around. I agree with him. For any governor to move forward and even bring change in his county, then there must be a way also of how county assemblies must have a value and an ethic they must believe in how to work in harmony. That it is not just about if the governor is giving them money, if the governor is giving them trips, the threats they normally use to get their way. Mm-hmm. But then having said that also, being privileged to have been in the Senate and now in the county, I would say also the Senate has something they need to learn, is that they do not understand most of the time how these counties are. Mm-hmm. They come in the last minute when a report has now been given by the Auditor General or by the Control of Budget, is when now they come in. They must be in the beginning of the process of that cycle. That how does a county start? How does their cycle of budget start? What are the development programs the counties have agreed on? So that even when you're coming to question your governor in the Senate, you were part and of that process. But just to say you're seated in Nairobi and then you'll want to come and question what has happened. That is why counties, Nairobi went. That is how many counties have gone in, because you wait until the last minute. Yet it is the arm that says, or the Senate is there to protect the interest of counties. If you are there to protect the interest, you must be there from the implementation cycle. You must understand where your county is headed, so that when they get into crisis, you become the source. Like a cup, when it is overflowing, you are the source to take care of that heat. But that is what many counties have lacked from their senators. Without blaming them, it's because of not understanding this new constitution. Let us go now to the two-thirds gender rule. And for me, I think that is where I find myself having lost BBI. Mm-hmm. You know, people are just saying things, but let me tell everyone, time will come, we will realize what we have lost in BBI will come to my hand.
Yes. Before we get into the BBI matters, representation of women in Kenya's parliament has been and remains.
That's what
minimal.
I wanted. I mean,
exactly.
That's where we were going to achieve it.
Exactly, because
that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, because
let me now come into how BBI will have cured the two-thirds gender rule, because it was properly entrenched now. Mm-hmm. Even if you come and question Parliament now, we will not achieve it. because we've had how many bills? When I was in the Senate, we've gone up to 6 bills. The Duale 4, Duale 5,
Yeah.
I think Mutula Jr. also has a bill. But look at the time, look at how the political pressure that is within Parliament for now. Look at even after we've lost BBI, nobody has picked on the issue of two-thirds. Everyone has picked on what they feel is their interest. And the champions, who are the majority in Parliament, men, have already shown what they can champion and what they can't touch. So two-thirds they can't touch. Yet here, Maraga is saying, I have advised the president that Parliament should be dissolved. But do you see them care? No, because it's an issue of women. They've made it an issue of women. They forgot it's an issue entrenched in the Constitution, that this is how we should run our governance.
Yeah.
And the time we look at it that way, I think going forward, even as we push political parties and IEBC to ensure that that two-thirds gender rule is achieved as we move on to the election. If it is not achieved, trust me, with the judgment we had, there's no Parliament that is starting without two-thirds. That's one thing they should be taking home as one thing that was very clear. Within those judgments, if we don't take care of the issues the judges raised, it will be an issue in court, and Parliament will not start without two-thirds gender rule. Yeah, in fact, what I'm anticipating is people are going to go to court now to start even blocking it before even we come to those elections.
Yeah,
so any lead...
Mheshimiwa, let's even go back to the root cause, because when you look at it, the population of women is higher than men in the country. Then let's go back to the root cause. Don't you think that perhaps even as we get to the legislative arms, that even it boils down to the grassroots, because you have an electorate that is majorly or mainly the gender is women. Then why are we unable to even elect more women into elective posts? Isn't that where the problem is?
You see, that is where I would say also, you as media, you have to also help to champion the country to a direction where they will feel, yes, we are saying the truth. You know very well, in politics, it's very expensive. You expect women, first of all, within just the nominations of political parties, because this woman will not just join Parliament. She has to go into a process of nominations of a political party, and when you get that ticket, for example, if you are from Nyanza, Ukambani, or Central, and you go to a party that is of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, you get the ticket. You get a ticket of Wiper. You get a ticket of Jubilee of Uhuru. You are 100% sure you are coming to Parliament because people believe in those parties. That is why we are saying we must now start pushing political parties to ensure when they are bringing their list to IEBC, that list in nominations, we have women who have won. A third of whoever are coming in are women. And every third of every party, definitely you'll see more women coming in. Because 50%, that woman will have the party will have worked for that woman. Now it is remaining 50% where she works and brings herself, her ideology, what she needs to do for the people, what she's promising, the values that she's bringing in, helps her now to propel herself to that level. But then when we say resources, they are in other places. Culture is very strong. I mean, in the Muslim community, it will be, it is not easy. Honorable Sophia Abdi will tell you that pushing a woman to get to that level and win is not easy, because culture also comes and brings in its line of life that you can't do this as a woman. You can. So there are all those many things where, especially in culture has, look at Kisi, culture will pull down a woman who is vying in a constituency. And so let us not just look at it and say 54%. Let us also look at the barriers. What are these barriers that have hindered women to join into this? If it was not of the new dispensation where we had the women's seats, will we be having women in Parliament? No. We will only be having the few women in the constituencies that we have, 21 out of 290 constituencies. So let us say the Constitution has helped to bring us up and to bring that visibility with the women's seats. And now going to the single constituencies, then we must have a way of achieving it. But more importantly, it cannot be that when we are talking about the constitution, we are able to achieve other things. But when it comes to women issues, we are unable. But we were able to achieve that in the county assemblies. When you look at the county assemblies today, if it was not of that nomination top-up, we will not even be having women in the county assemblies. 10 years down the line, you can't believe we have never elected more than 150 women in county assemblies. Yet we are saying that is the lowest level in terms of delivery of services. Yet people don't appreciate that. So if we have nominated for 10 years, what are we expecting going forward? So it is to the political parties, and we must stand firm with the goodwill of what the judiciary has given, that we must ensure that 2/3 is achieved. I think it is time. I believe women in the constituencies that they have shown they are good leaders. They are good in governance, in development. If it is a record of development, constituencies with women have worked. I mean, you cannot judge them on that. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Lachi, you talk about political parties and that conversation, but is that a conversation that political parties, as you see right now, I mean, without being specific to any, but is that a conversation that perhaps political parties in Kenya are willing to have yet, do you think?
You see, that's exactly. Thank you for saying that. I mean, that's the challenge, that political parties don't believe women can champion. But you are forgetting, when you want mobilization, you come for women. When you want somebody who can ensure, it is women. But the good thing, and I want to just appreciate the time when KTN was really supporting As Women Embrace. Remember that?
Yeah.
And we championed, and many other media houses. When we were championing Embrace, we wanted to show the country that women can go onto a platform, support ideology, look at issues, and debate issues. Now, when the men realized, hey, these women have gone so far, what were we told? We were told, hizo manguo zenu, hatutaki kuona, sasa murudi. But you see, that was the only platform that we stood on, and not just embraced. We made sure, Inua Mama also came in. All those were to make sure women, and even now that culture can turn around and embrace women and show that, women can go, all of them from different political parties, but stand on a platform to fight for rights of women, and not just women, for young people, people with disability, and the whole country as well. And we always say that if we were given that opportunity, but they took advantage, they knew, women won't have the resources to marshal all that. So what will we do? Let's first finish this, because they are about to show us men, our weakness is we always go for women to get that mobilization. And that's what they did, because they knew if these women can show women in the country that you can mobilize yourself and have a platform and fight for the rights of Kenyans, we will change this country. And that is where the men felt very frightened. They realized women are entering beyond the space we think, and how do we curtail them? But we thank God for that space, because it has also opened a lot of light, that people know we have women who can stand and run this country. In fact, if Kenya was really genuine to itself, it is time for women to first take this country for 5 years, bring back Kenya to normalcy. Because where the men have taken us, it is in another world where we have no idea where the country is going. And so it is time, even women, we must stand and say any president going for presidential must have a deputy woman. And we must do it with whether they like or they don't like. We have to push that agenda.
Mheshimiwa Lachi, well, the state is empowered to ensure that 2/3 of members of elective and appointive seats are not of the same gender. But there is so much talk, and many leaders we will hear even recently, they say they believe that women should lead. You've also attributed to the fact that even perhaps a deputy or even, it should be mixed, that is a male, female deputy presidential aspirant and female presidential aspirant. But there appears not to be quite some, it's just much of talking but not walking the talk. So where lies the problem specifically, and then how do you cure it to ensure that post-2022, in the next election, you're able to see that things change?
One, I think it's not just walking the talk. I think we are now walking. To do is how do we package? The messaging has to be very clear. It's not going out there and being very, very aggressive in terms of people wondering, now, who is this? But I think in that soft spot they've put us as women, we can be very assertive and push the agenda. And for me, what I'm telling women, even as we let us be very focused on where the country is. How do we bring in different leadership and a style of leadership that says we are dealing with issues, no anger. Anyone who has to be a leader, anger is not the right way of pushing that agenda. But we just need to push, and let us make sure we are focused. Not because I know we'll be pushed on the side shows. We will be called all names. They will use the same women to call women names. We have been called all those names for Mamangilu, for Honorable Karua to be where they are today, Waiguru, the late Flabosos, everyone who has pushed her neck to where the women could not have reached. They have gone through names, and therefore names will be there. The most important thing is your consciousness and focusing where you want to go and changing this country, that where people are feeling, indeed, we have done the wrong thing, we have governed wrongly, that we can transform and just bring back to appreciate. And Kenyans are the most, human beings that I would say very kind when they want to be kind. They become very angry when they feel you take advantage of them. They feel disappointed when they feel this is something you'd have done right, but you've just refused to do it right. And they are very sympathetic to again when someone is in trouble. So you see, they have characteristics that can grow around and make a country move if they are just given the right person to lead. And I believe a woman is the right person. It does not matter. Don't look at the woman because of her nails, her lipstick. You know, you judge women in very small things. That is part of the accessory of being a woman. I mean, and today you can see even some men are practicing it. So it means it's an accessory. But then the most important thing is that woman deep down would want to see change, would want to see young people grow. I would want to see us championing what we wanted to give young people, a tax bracket of 7 years. I would want to see us championing. Most of the women are the ones who are SMEs, who are in Gekomba, who are in Korokoso, Kibuye, Mombasa, Kongowea. They need to see some incentives, not just incentives of being told go and take a loan, but incentives of managing. How do I ensure that young woman is not taken to auctioneers? How do I bring in a policy that gives her a breath during this COVID time? I'm not hearing men talking about it, but as women, we've been calling upon government, remove young people from the Credit Reference Bureau, give them an amnesty. Because of COVID, most of them have been blacklisted. How do you come to the...
Yeah, Mheshimiwa Lachi, we are pressed for time, so perhaps as we wind up...
Tax penalties that are there, the tax on that penalty of the loan, and a restructure. I mean, look at our Muslim brothers and sisters. They benefit from their Sharia banking, where you don't need to pay a penalty or an interest of a penalty. So they pay what they take as a small loan. That is what you pay back to a bank. For us, we have... Yes.
Yeah, we are pressed for time, but then as we wind up very briefly in 30 seconds, as you say that, we need to see women show up in the elective post in 2022, where are your eyes set on right now?
Well, I just go back to the Goreti North, and because I died in 2017, I appreciate they gave me 17,000. I respected their verdict. My Moa Simba has been there for 10 years. He has done his development record. I would wish to go back and tell them, now give me the opportunity. I never went back to antagonize him or to start work. No, I've left him to do his work as principal. And now I go back and also ask them, can I be able to lead? And we see the difference if I'm given the opportunity. That is what I'm going to do.
Great, great indeed. That is where we wind up. We could have continued, Mheshimiwa Elachi. Thank you so much for your time right here on News Center. Great indeed. That has been Beatrice Elachi, the Chief Administrative Secretary, that is CAS for Public Service and Gender, speaking to us on that gender equation and the gender parity topic. You're watching News Center. You want to